Jenna, those two guys have had tremendous playoffs, and they've been great. But to me, it's Devin Booker. I just believe Devin Booker is the best player left in the playoffs.
Wow.
When you think about his numbers, he's close. He's percentage points away from being a 50, 40, 90 guy. When you look at the quality of competition that they played, they had to start off going through the NBA champions. He was terrific. They sweep Denver. He was very consistent. We know Chris Paul had a monster series. And then to go take a 2-0 lead without Chris Paul. I could never imagine them being up 2-0 without Chris Paul just because of what Chris Paul has done for this team. So it basically lets me know who's the most valuable player and the best player right now in the playoffs that's left, and that's Devin Booker. To be able to I think he broke his nose. It looked like it's broken. He broke his nose to be able to get back in the game and tough it out and make two huge shots down the stretch. I think he's the best player left right now in the playoffs.
All right, so I agree with a lot of that, including that, you know how I knew Devin Booker's nose was probably broken? Because for a moment there, Devin Booker's nose looked like mine. I'm like, that ain't great. That's broken. Mine's not broken. It's just an anomaly. So, yeah, his nose definitely broken, and he played through it. He had a tough night in Game 2, and still we forget about it because how crazy the end of the game was. Hit that pull-up mid-range jump shot, which they had to have to get him up 1 before Paul George retook the lead. So Booker's been awesome. But the best player left in the playoffs is Giannis. And I'm not sure it's actually as great as Trae has been, as excellent as Booker has been, as great as Chris Paul was before he got knocked out with the protocols. I don't know it's that close. And I know we focus on what Giannis can't do. So I want to use a comp of another guy who is an all-time great player, who a lot of the things Giannis can't do, he couldn't do either. And nobody ever doubted how great he was. And that is Shaquille O'Neal. Can we show the graphic, please? This is Giannis this postseason and Shaq at his apex. Those are Shaq's playoff numbers the 3 years the Lakers won the title. Points, basically identical. Shaq's got him by 1 in rebounds. Giannis has him by 2 in assists. Field goal percentage, almost identical. Free throw percentage, almost identical. Now, could you rely on Shaq at the free throw line? Nope. Late in the game, could you just give the ball to Shaq? Maybe, but if he got fouled, it was a huge problem, which is why Kobe was so important. Also, they didn't play that many close games during most of those championship runs, except for against Sacramento and Portland, so it wasn't an issue. And while I wasn't in the media during Shaq's career, during the prime of Shaq's career, I was a diehard basketball fan and a consumer of it. And while he got criticism for the free throws, nobody ever doubted how dominant he was. Now, maybe it's because, Brandon, he was such a physical force, it was so obvious to the eye. But Giannis is just a different type of physical force. And those numbers, sometimes numbers lie. Those numbers aren't lying. He is giving you what prime Shaq gave you in the postseason. So to me, he's clearly the best player left in the playoffs.
Right. And Shaq won championships, and Shaq also, like you said, had Kobe, he had D. Wade. So they were able to cover up a lot of those challenges, a lot of those mistakes that, or I would just say challenges that Shaq had down the stretch. So Giannis don't have that. And guys, I can't answer this. I'm going to be honest, sitting here trying to rack my brain around this 6 a.m. in the morning, like, okay, how do I answer this? Who is it? And I can't. Anything I would throw out there, it wouldn't be real. So when you talk about Giannis, there's a conversation with Giannis because everything you said, 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, an easy 30, an easy 10. And this is every single night, but we criticize him because of what Nick just highlighted. But that is a big deal. You are a superstar. You are the 2-time MVP. But we're just talking about the playoffs and Trae Young, what he's done in 3 series in a row. It's been lights out. It's been sensational, and he's done it with the flair. He's done it with the swagger and the Twan little shoulder shrug, the shimmy. So you got to have him in that conversation. And then also Paul George, maybe not so much of an argument, but when Kawhi went down, he just took off to a whole nother level. And then you got Booker, what you said, and then CP3 is an argument, and then Wilds. I would say this too. People might crush me for this. Chris Middleton. If Chris Middleton played the way played on the road the way he plays at home, it wouldn't even be a debate. Chris Middleton would be the best player in the playoffs, but he can't do it on the road, so that's why he can't even be in discussion. So I can't answer it, Wiles. I really can't.
Yep. He can't do it at home either. And if Chris Middleton's best chance of sort of coming out of his funk is to just like literally rub up against Trae Young and try to take some self-confidence in some of the jumper, and then maybe he can play a little bit better. Nick, I thought your graphic was super interesting, and I'm not going to like push back and argue with you. If we could throw it up again, it would be great, but if we can't, it's all right. Why doesn't it feel that way then? I am not watching these games and being like, man, Giannis feels like prime Shaq. And I know, and you did a great job with the numbers. It just doesn't feel like that at all. And maybe it's just the Kobe factor, that at the end of the game you could go to an all-time great to get you a bucket. But last night, when Giannis is out there setting picks and Pat Connaughton airballs a shot, and then Giannis has to like volleyball a shot back into the backcourt in desperation, it just feels not dominant.
I think there's two reasons.
Let's just say that. It doesn't feel anything like it, and I don't know why.
I think there's 2 reasons. One is Shaq almost never did anything out of his comfort zone, meaning he never looked awkward. Giannis, like, somehow is still working stuff out during the games, and so he will take the bad 3 or the really tough mid-range jump shot that Shaq flatly never took. Now, the fact that their field goal percentages are identical, the only way that math works means that Giannis is actually more efficient at the rim than Shaq is, because Shaq didn't have 28% from 3 dragging it down. So I think that's one part of it, is you never watched Shaq and was like, what are you doing? The other thing, Antoine, and you can speak to this obviously infinitely better than me, because not only did you play against Shaq, but you won a championship with him. And while Shaq wasn't Apex Shaq when you guys won the title, he damn near won the league MVP the year before. He should have. That was one of Nash's 2 stolen MVPs. And he was a dominant force. I think because of Shaq's overall size, I think it looked like guys were more helpless than anyone ever looks against Giannis. Giannis is obviously a physical freak. His name's Greek Freak. But I don't think, I've never watched, because I didn't watch Wilt, anyone ever make other pros look smaller and more helpless than Shaq did, even if the numbers are the same. So I think that's the answer to Wild's question. But you having played against him and won a championship with him, I want to know what you think.
Well, I love the graphic. I think that was great to point that out, Nick. I think sometimes we have to stop and think how great Giannis is and how good he is, and sometimes he gets criticized a lot. So when you put it up there with a guy like Shaq, those numbers are very impressive. My problem with Giannis is that I can't go to Giannis late, so he cannot be the best player in the playoffs right now. I can go to Devin Booker late, and I know he's going to deliver. I know he can make a big shot, and I know he's going to make his free throws. Giannis, I don't know. The question mark is I don't know if he's going to get it done for me. And also, Nick, I don't think Giannis can win a game without Chris Middleton playing good. If you look at these playoffs, when Middleton plays well, they win. Last night he goes 0 for 9, I think 6 for 23. They lose. This has been consistent throughout the playoffs. When Middleton doesn't play good, Devin Booker went and won and had a triple-double without Chris Paul. And he also is 2-0 without Chris Paul. I don't know if Giannis can get it done without Middleton having a big game. So that's why I separate the two. And we know Giannis is great. I love him. I'm a big Giannis fan. I compared him to, LeBron and trying to take over that title. I've been the best player in the league for a while. But Devin Booker is the best player left in the playoffs right now. hands down, easy. I'll give him the ball later.
And
With any of the superstars left in the game, he gets it done.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.